Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. My channel is about marriage to a woman from the Philippines. Please subscribe here and leave a comment. Today I want to talk about the fact that sometimes these relationships don't work out, and sometimes it's something that doesn't work out from the very start and really has little chance. Now, you hope to be able to see these signs that I will show you before you get too late into the relationship. By the way, I can't do anything about this cough. I've got some nerve issue with my throat. Every word I speak, I'm trying not to cough. So let's see how it goes. This is from Global English Editing, GE Editing, 9 Signs You Were Never in Love. According to psychology, think about foreigner and Filipino relationships when you think about this, and think about it from both the foreigner side and the woman from the Philippines side. One way, distance doesn't upset you. If this distance doesn't really upset you as the foreigner or the Filipina, kind of questionable. I mean, my first flight there, the itinerary showed 9,800 flight miles. Felt like more than that. It was 4 flights there, 4 flights back, about 32 hours or so each way. And it was kind of a burden for the very first time. But the distance always bothered me, even after we got married on my first time there, and then waited about, 8 months for the visa process to be finished. And then she was here in January of 2016. The distance was always a problem because I just, I wanted to be with her all the time, every day as husband and wife. So this should upset both of them if they are in love. They say, you're familiar with the saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. If you don't, that's fine, because either way, it doesn't apply to you if you never really loved the person. According to Stephen J. Betchen, a doctor, a marriage and family therapy expert, if you're constantly staying away from your partner, it may not be love. The same is true if being miles apart does not bother you one bit. So they say, so if your idea of spending time with them is once in a blue moon, you were probably captivated by the idea of spending time, and not necessarily the person itself. So another way to show that love really wasn't there, they say, is you didn't act like yourself. According to Mark Travers, who we have quoted from here before, in his words, one of the clearest signs of a fear-based relationship is not acting like yourself. What does this mean for you? If you're constantly having to tweak your personality only to keep your partner happy, that's a glaring sign that your feelings don't stem from genuine love. Look at it this way. If you're always trying to pretend to be someone that you're not, just so you could be the perfect partner to them, you're not in the relationship for the joy it brings. The reality is you're there because you're afraid of what could happen once you show your true colors and your partner dislikes what they see. That's not love, that's fear. Third way to show that the love isn't there, you needed to feel needed. You needed to feel needed. Sometimes what feels like love might actually be our need to feel important or needed by someone else. And I see why it's easy to confuse the two. He says both can give us, this is Mark Travers again, both can give us warm, fuzzy feelings inside. But here's how they're different. Love is selfless. It's all about wanting what's best for the other person and genuinely caring for them. Very well said, Mr. Travers. On the flip side, he says, needing to feel needed is more about ourselves. It's a selfish desire to validate our own worth. So if you're wondering whether you truly loved that person, let me throw this question back at you. He says, did you love them for who they are, or did you love the way they made you feel needed? A lot of foreigners not had a relationship for a while. I've been divorced from somebody in their country, and they may feel that they really have a need to feel needed. We all do. We all do, whether it's at the tip of our tongue or not. But we all have that need. And Filipina, someone that seems to accept this right away, whereas others don't. And she's available, easy to talk to. Well, you can start to feel in love with that person, but it's really, kind of just being in love, or the feeling of being needed, and that being such a wonderful thing. So you have to be really careful before you tie the knot and get married, that you're going through some of these things here and evaluating whether it's really love or not. I know that's not easy for people to do. Number 4, you have no time for quality time. Or you do, but you're not the least bit interested in it. In the opinion of Dr. Nikki Coleman, people who don't get excited about the idea of spending time with their partners are less likely to be genuinely in love. And they said this is especially true when you're disinterested in sharing the mundane tasks of life with your beau. So, written from a woman perspective. And, I feel the same way as I interject here. I want to know how my wife's doing. Anything interesting happen? Boring, better, worse, strange? I want to know how she's feeling, and how she's interpreting her world, and whether it's big or small. Just like to know how it went. And so that's a sign that I definitely have strong feelings for my wife. They say if you're quick to jump in for Netflix or chill, or they mention a booty call, but you couldn't care less when it comes to running errands or planning vacations together, understand this. They say there are countless ways to describe and explain this behavior, but I assure you, none of them includes love. And we do want love. They also mention the 5th one, you suffered from FOBS, F-O-B-S. Have you heard that one? They've maybe heard of FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. FOBS is the fear of being single. In other words, you enter or stay in a relationship not out of love, but because you're terrified of being alone. And this could come into play with a foreigner in Filipina too. He's getting older. He doesn't want to spend the rest of his life alone. He doesn't think he has any good chances. But he's seeing some positive signs with a woman from the Philippines, and so he gets involved with her. And sometimes it can be just a fear of being single. As I manipulate through these, pop-ups and nasty things like that. Number 6, you're not interested in learning more about them. Boy, this is a big one. Psychology experts believe there are telltale signs that you simply don't care, in this case, love your partner at all. A few they've identified: you don't check in on your partner's feelings. You don't ask for life updates. And please leave a comment here. You show zero interest in what's going on in their life. You don't consult their opinion on anything. You don't consider how your actions can impact them and their feelings. That's a big one too. If you're not doing these things, you may not love them. And they said it's forgivable if these actions happen infrequently, but if that's been your default behavior, then it's almost an affirmation that you never loved them in the first place. As to why you were in the relationship, only you can truthfully answer that. Hopefully it is to genuinely love that person and be a good companion to them. The 7, they talk about your sex life was practically dead. Run out of time. I don't want to get too far into this, but if it's just because of that, then again, you don't know how that's going to last. You don't know if there's any love. If it's just because it's been your sex life has been in cold storage for a while. Number 8, you were operating with a fuzzy mind. For example, did you once put this person on a pedestal, believing they were perfect? Did you sacrifice your values for the sake of being with them? And did your daydreaming affect your work, school, and other interactions with other people? And do you struggle with unreasonable and intense jealousy about your relationship? That's what they mean by fuzzy mind. Number 9, it was just limerence. I think this is the last one here. Limerence is kind of like a very strong infatuation, but it's not love. They say it's more about chasing a feeling, not about building something real. Limerence, I've heard of that word just a few times in my life. Limerence. It's like they say it's an involuntary obsession with another person. Well, I got to go here, so let me know what you think about this. And keep an eye on whether true love exists with your love beyond the sea.